Have you ever wondered why a simple glance can act like a magnet, drawing you to shore? Why a casual smile can trigger a storm of thoughts? Or why a fantasy you never chose keeps coming back like a tidal wave? Your sexual desire isn't random. It's not a dysfunction to be corrected, nor an appetite to be endlessly sated. It's a coded message from deep within your psyche. And when you learn to decipher it, it becomes a compass that guides you toward the person you are becoming. By staying with me, you'll gain not only knowledge, but also a method. You'll learn how to transform excitement into awareness, infatuation into integration, and discover what your desire has been telling you all along. Let's start with a simple change that transforms everything. Desire is symbolic. On the surface, it extends to bodies, faces, voices, gestures, and situations. Beneath the surface, it extends to meanings. Your psyche doesn't speak English or Spanish as its native language. It expresses itself in images, energies, and patterns. Sexual desire is one of its most concentrated dialects. When it arises, it signifies not only that I desire this person, but also that I wish to become something through this attraction. If you rush to satisfy this urge without listening to it, you download the message along with the sensation. If you learn to contain this energy long enough to decode it, you access hidden information about your shadow, your unrealized potentials, and the next stage of your individuation. Individuation is the transition from a life organized around your mask to a life organized around your essence. You have a personality, an adaptable self that wins approval, keeps your job, fits into the culture, and pleases your family. There's nothing wrong with having it. The problem is living with it as if it were all you are. Sexual desire often arises when your inner nature touches the armor of your personality. You are attracted to what appears external, but passion is born from what is struggling to be born within you. This is why some attractions seem to fade. They forge an archetype, those primordial patterns that precede your life. When an archetype is illuminated, it carries within it the force of destiny. And if you don't recognize what's stirring within you, you'll mistake the person for the source rather than the trigger. There's another layer to decode: projection. You carry within you inner images of the masculine ideal and the feminine ideal, not as social stereotypes, but as living psychic realities. These inner figures are not mere fantasies. They are gateways to fulfillment. When they remain unconscious, we project them onto someone else and pursue them in the external world. The surge of desire often indicates that an inner figure, an image of strength, grace, passion, wisdom, mystery, tenderness, and sovereignty is manifesting. You glimpse it in others, but it belongs to your psyche. If you try to possess the person, instead of integrating their quality, you remain dependent on the external vector. By practicing the reappropriation of projection, you become less desperate and more magnetic, because you no longer ask anyone to deprive you of what truly belongs to you. How can I reclaim a projection? Start with the sensation itself. Instead of indulging in fantasy or rushing toward gratification, breathe and observe the exact geography of the attraction. Where does it reside in your body? What color, temperature, and texture would it have if you had to describe it? What memories lie behind it? Set a timer for 3 minutes and choose to do nothing but feel. The mind will try to negotiate with you. It will say, "This is absurd." Write to them. Otherwise, you're overreacting. This is the loss of control of your personality. Maintain the tension. Often, in the second or third minute, an image arises, an inner scene, a symbol, a word, a face that is not the object of your current desire. This is your first crumb of bread. Desire has begun to speak its native language. From this point on, we practice active imagination. No need for incense, just honesty. Close your eyes and invite desire to personify itself. If it were a character, what would it look like and sound like? Ask it a simple question. What do you want from me? No, what do you want from me if not for me? Listen without censorship. You may hear words like courage, risk, gentleness, boundaries, play, depth, truth, sovereignty. These are not abstract virtues. These are the qualities your life yearns for. And your erotic energy is trying to offer them to you in ways you can't ignore. If you continue to think of desire as simply physical pressure, you'll miss the point. If you view it as a teaching, you will draw meaning from the very energy that has distracted you. Now, let's confront the shadow. The shadow isn't evil. It is everything you refuse to be. This includes your denied power and hidden vulnerabilities. Sexual desire constantly points to the door of the shadow, as it exerts pressure on the very things you claim to have overcome. Ask yourself, what is it about this attraction that threatens my current identity? If you see yourself as eternally serene, desire may cause you to go wild. If you see yourself as infinitely generous, desire may demand that you express your needs. If you see yourself as rational, desire may draw you into mystery. Friction is the invitation. What you find unbearable about your attraction, its intensity, its irrationality, its tenderness, its danger, is directly reflected in the parts of you that need integration. Here's a paradoxical truth. Your attraction patterns are shaped less by your preferences than by your complexes. A complex is a knot of emotions, memories, defenses, and expectations that clusters around a theme: abandonment, control, unworthiness, rescue, superiority, submission, conquest, invisibility. When a complex is activated, it diverts your energy and tells your story for you. In this state, desire becomes compulsive. You feel chosen by your feelings instead of choosing based on your inner self. To manage a complex, you must not blame it. You must name it. Give it a title. Observe your favorite scenario. Observe how it engages your body, the tension in your stomach, the speed in your chest, the focus of your attention, and how it adapts the facts to serve its prophecy. The moment you can tell that a complex is speaking, you create a small space. In this space, your desire can be purified of the compulsion toward clarity. Let's integrate the principle of the tension of opposites. Transformation does not occur by destroying one pole and exalting the other. It occurs by maintaining the charge between them until a third emerges. This is psychic alchemy. Desire carries within itself the heat that makes alchemy possible. On one side, instinct, passion, desire, hunger. On the other, consciousness, limits, truth, responsibility. If you allow yourself to be carried away by complacency, you repeat the same story. If you allow yourself to be carried away by repression, you become fragile and insensitive. When you allow yourself to feel fully without acting blindly, the psyche begins to reorganize itself. A symbol emerges that unites the poles: tender courage, responsible intimacy, receptive power, devotion that does not erase individuality. The third element is always more human and more comprehensive than the initial conflict. A crucial concept here is sublimation, not as moralistic denial but as intelligent channeling. Sexual energy is generalized psychic energy. It wants to move. If you prevent it from moving, it gives way. If you offer it an easy way out, it dissipates. Sublimation asks you to offer it valuable avenues. Create a framework, a practice, an art, a ritual, a conversation with your soul through which energy can rise. Rising doesn't mean abandoning the body. It means infusing your body with greater awareness. When you write honestly, move artfully, build courageously, speak sincerely, serve wholeheartedly, or study diligently, you are not distracted by desire. You are fulfilling its path. The same current that once chased away an illusion becomes the light that reads your life correctly. Let's decipher specific signs. First, intensity. When an attraction strikes like a flash, sudden, blinding, all-pervasive, it often means an archetype has become constellated. Ask yourself, what universal myth is being activated? Is it the savior and the saved, the ruler and the worshipper, the muse and the creator, the hunter and the elusive, the healer and the wounded, the rebel and the law? Don't judge it, name it. The moment you recognize the myth, you reduce its ability to absorb you. Instead of acting out the story, you can learn from it. Second, repetition. If you persist in wanting a similar pattern in different forms, a complex seeks to complete itself. It will return again and again, until you learn to nourish it with awareness rather than repetition. Third, the paradox. If you feel both attracted and repelled, compelled and afraid, you are approaching a threshold. Something within you knows that crossing it will cost you the loss of your old identity. Honor the fear. Don't obey it. Make it part of the conversation. What are you protecting? What would you need to feel included? If I cross this, dreams are your nighttime workshop. Sexual symbols in dreams are rarely literal. They evoke union, creation, renewal, and the meeting of opposites. Observe the emotional tone of the dream: joy, guilt, wonder, shame, amazement, urgency, serenity. Observe the environment: a threshold, a classroom, a wilderness, a sacred place, a ruined place. Notice the obstacle, a closed door, a missing object, an unwanted witness, a sudden interruption. These details tell you which part of your psyche is seeking union and which part is resisting. Write down the dream before you continue. Give it a title as if it were a story. Then ask yourself, what in my waking life gives me the same feeling? What decision, what conversation, what creative act would honor the movement this dream calls for? By aligning a small waking action with the dream's symbolic direction, you signal to the unconscious that you are listening, and it responds with more guidance. Let's move on to embodiment. The nervous system is where all this unfolds. If your baseline is out of whack, constantly reinforced, collapsed, or dispersed, desire will be perceived as an urgency or a seductive factor. Neither of these interpretations is correct. To rediscover the message, you must re-establish a happy medium called regulation. Practice a simple sequence when desire is heightened. Exhale more than 5 times. Feel the backs of your legs and the weight of your feet. Lightly press your tongue against the roof of your mouth. Expand your peripheral vision. Name 5 anchor points in the room. It takes less than a minute and brings you from possession to the present. Dialogue with desire can now be frank, because your body no longer interprets it as a threat. Boundaries are not the enemy of love. They are its guardians. A boundary is a form that protects meaning. Without it, desire becomes noise. With it, desire becomes music. To ask yourself 3 questions about boundaries whenever attraction arises. What do I want to protect? What do I want to cultivate? And what do I want to reject? Protect your time, your core commitments, your integrity. Cultivate a dialogue oriented toward truth, not performance. Reject agreements that require you to betray yourself or manipulate others. By expressing this clearly, you won't reduce desire, but you will refine it. The energy that once seeped into fantasy and negotiation returns, in the form of creativity and direction. Let's explore the phenomenon of transference, not as a clinical label, but as an everyday reality. When desire is intense, it can be perceived through the prism of previously unmet needs. The psyche attempts to complete the past by projecting it into the present. If you feel a disproportionate dependence, panic at the distance, or euphoric certainty in the face of insignificant signs, stop and ask yourself, who am I trying to reach right now? What recognition am I seeking? What promise would I like someone to finally keep to me? Don't be ashamed of this desire. Welcome it. Write that promise down for yourself. Keep it with concrete actions. In doing so, you regain your authority and stop asking an external situation to resolve your internal story. However, the principle of enanthropy, the drift of one thing toward its opposite, means that the psyche self-corrects extremes over time. If you have lived in chronic restriction, you will be overwhelmed by impulses until you learn to accept desire without losing yourself. If you have lived in chronic complacency, you will be confronted with emptiness until you learn the art of meaning. Don't be afraid of movement, read it. Ask yourself what each movement teaches you. Moderation can reveal the depth of your desires. Complacency can reveal its emptiness. The goal is not to remain at one pole or the other, but to cultivate a center capable of accommodating both appetite and consciousness without collapsing. Here's a handy framework for decoding your desire as it arises. Imagine it on 3 levels: sensation, narrative, and symbol. Sensation. What exactly is happening in your body? Location, pressure, rhythm, temperature. Story. What narrative is instantly superimposed on the sensation? If this happens, I will finally be chosen. Or if I miss this, I'll be alone forever. Or it's dangerous and must be controlled. Symbol. What image will emerge if you don't obey or let yourself be influenced by the story? Spend 60 seconds on each layer without skipping. You'll be surprised how often the symbol contradicts the story. The body speaks of warmth. The mind speaks of negotiation. The soul speaks of direction. Your role is not to pity or punish one voice, but to listen to all 3 until a 4th, integrated voice can choose. Let's establish morning and evening rituals to develop this capacity. In the morning on your phone, ask yourself 2 questions in your journal. What am I secretly seeking today? And what quality am I choosing to embody rather than seek? If you write validation, choose truth. If you write control, choose trust. If you write emotion, choose meaning. Circle the quality and design an action that demonstrates it before noon. In the evening, write down the 3 strongest attractions you felt that day toward a person, image, memory, or situation. For each, write the quality you were truly seeking: security, freedom, novelty, intensity, intimacy, recognition, surrender, sovereignty. Then, write down a way to satisfy that need tomorrow without acting it out. This practice turns compulsive desire into a conversation. Pay attention to the fantasies that resurface. These aren't awkward accidents, but encrypted requests. Instead of mindlessly monitoring or satisfying them, consult them. What roles do you play in this fantasy? Pursuer, pursued, savior, saves, leader, led, seen, unseen. What emotion permeates it? Adoration, danger, forgiveness, power, relief, revelation? What setting recurs repeatedly? Secret rooms, public displays, distant lands, thresholds, rituals, reunions, confessions. Translate each element into a human need. Perhaps the public element reveals a desire to stop hiding your truth. Perhaps the danger points to a life too domesticated for your mind. Perhaps the rescue points to the part of you that yearns for strength. When you consciously respond to this need, the fantasy relaxes and begins to evolve. It becomes more nuanced, more human, more in tune with your true values. Let's talk about values without moralizing. Values aren't rules to follow. They're the form of your soul in action. When your desires and values cooperate, you feel pure, energized, clear, and ready to delve deeper. When they conflict, you feel divided, euphoric one moment, then empty the next. Use a 2-column inventory. On the left, list the perceived signs of aligned desire: grounded enthusiasm, broader attention, smoother breathing, increased curiosity, and a sense of time stretching rather than fading. On the right, list the signs of misaligned desire: tunnel vision, bargaining thoughts, shame before acting, the urge to hide, and the need to seek reassurance rather than tell the truth. Keep this paper handy. When attraction increases, compare it to the list. Don't wait for philosophies to reach you. Let yourself be guided by the honesty of your body. Creativity is inseparable from eros. It is an eros with a greater attention span. If your love life seems monotonous or frenetic, analyze your creative life. Do you shape the images that come to mind? Do you finish what you start? Do you take risks? Desire eager to create will try to solve everything through relationships. Desire fueled by creation becomes generous in relationships. You don't have to be an artist to live this way. You need a practice that pushes you to make the invisible visible in everyday life. An idea expressed in words, an intention structured, a vision expressed by a plan, a promise expressed by a boundary, a truth expressed by a conversation. Every time you do this, you are doing exactly what your desires tell you to, becoming what you seek. Now let's talk about power and tenderness, 2 often opposing poles. Many people use erotic energy to dominate or disappear. Domination without tenderness is fragile. Tenderness without power is exhausting. Your desire will reveal your inclination. If you are in the habit of rushing to impress, act or conquer, practice gentleness. Speak more slowly, pause longer, let silence do the work. Ask instead of assuming. If you are in the habit of appeasing, accommodating, or conceding too much, practice accountability, set clear boundaries, express desire without excuse, tolerate the other's disappointment without saving them from it. When power and tenderness learn to share the same nervous system, desire becomes trustworthy. Others can perceive it. We no longer use energy to manipulate outcomes. We offer energy as presence. There's a reason spirituality and sexuality belong in the same prayer. They're both about union. A union doesn't erase differences. It's the meeting of differences in a field of consciousness that can contain them. Sexual desire, approached with reverence, trains you to stay awake at the border where 2 worlds meet: instinct and insight, matter and meaning, self and non-self. If you can stay awake at this border, life becomes more meaningful. You don't seek constant heights. You cultivate constant depth. Depth is stillness. This is the kind of joy that you don't need to photograph to prove you felt it. Let's add a vow. Not an outward vow to impress anyone, but an inner vow that strengthens your spine. Say it out loud if you can. I will not use my desire to abandon myself. I will not use my desire to control another. I will treat my desire as a messenger of my transformation. This vow is not a prison. It's a home. When we inevitably destroy it, as every human being does, we're not ashamed. We return to it, repair it, reflect on it, and refine it. Each return strengthens our integrity. Each repair rekindles our compassion. Each reflection sharpens our vision. In time, people will notice without us even letting it show. Your desire isn't to beg, it's to build. You may be wondering, but how do I know if an attraction is real? Ask yourself this from the start. What truth about me does this attraction demand? If an attraction requires you to lie about your needs, distort your values, or blur your boundaries, it's asking you to finance your desire through self-betrayal. If an attraction demands that you be more honest, more present, more courageous, more patient, more insightful, more alive, it asks you to fuel your desire with growth. The first path is costly and empty. The second is demanding and full of meaning. Your body senses the difference, and if you practice listening, you will notice it faster and faster. There is one final practice I suggest, a 7-day attention fast. Stop staring compulsively at the person or platform, which puts your nervous system under control. Not because staring is bad, but because your attention is sacred. Redirect your accumulated attention to 3 things each day: an act of creation, an act of truth, and an act of beauty. Creation can be a paragraph we finish, a plan we sketch, a space we reclaim. Telling the truth can be rejecting what we don't want, confessing what we desire, or admitting a fear. Beauty can be arranging our environment to respect our senses, reading a page that nourishes our spirit, or walking without headphones until the world touches us again. After 7 days, release your desire. It will become calmer and stronger. It will express itself in complete sentences. By living this way, desire changes its face. It stops bringing you down and begins to dialogue with you. It stops promising you salvation and begins to promise you revelation. You will always be surprised, moved, and sometimes defeated. It's part of life, but you won't be defenseless within the wave. You'll have a mineral. And with that mineral comes a subtle authority. One that says, I'm not here to extract anyone's identity. I'm here to bring my whole being to the meeting point and read. What that meeting reveals about the next stage of my transformation. Observe what is happening right now as you listen. Perhaps your breathing has calmed. Perhaps an image has appeared. The door you didn't walk through. The conversation you put off. The creative risk you negotiated. This image is your next task. Desire has brought you to the threshold. Your will carry you to the other side. And if you stay awake long enough to feel the thrill of this journey in your chest, you will recognize the sign that appears every time you choose the path of integration. That undeniable feeling that something inside you has stopped waiting and begun to live.